Hey guys, Telegram Sam here. If you don't already know, I have an Instagram. It's telegram_Sam_vinyl. So if you're on Instagram, check me out on there. But today I have back my lovely mother, Laura. She came down to visit me for Mother's Day. And plus, we went to go see Henry Rollins together.
Yes, it was so good.
For his Good to See You 2022 tour.
Mm-hmm.
And you were so nice. You got me this Stay Fantastic Volume 3 book that he wrote that's actually signed. It's funny because we were looking at the merch stuff and I was just getting like the shirt, and then you just got this book and I was like, you're not that much of a reader. Like,
Well, I'm not an idiot.
I'm not saying that, but I'm like, I know.
I
You don't read up. I was like, okay, whatever. She wants to read up on
Yeah.
punk 7 inches and obscure punk music.
Hey, it's an interesting read,
Yeah.
nonetheless.
But
Henry Rollins, come on.
Yeah, but then when we got to our seat, you were like, oh no, I got it for you. And I was like,
I did.
aww.
It's a surprise.
So yeah, I just had my mom, again, just pick out some records and music through my Discogs to talk about. And
So hard to make decisions, though.
and this was the first one just because we saw Henry Rollins last night. Black Flag, Damage, probably one of the greatest hardcore albums ever, punk records. You don't really listen to Black Flag, though. You just know.
I don't, but I know of them and, some of the music, but that was never my thing because that was... I was born in 1968, so in the late 70s, I was still relatively young, and the big punk scene was like older brother and sisters in the neighborhood. They were kind of into that, some of them, and some of the parents, would spin it. Yeah, but it doesn't mean I don't like it. I still like it. I mean, I love Henry.
And when I got really into punk music and Black Flag, there was definitely times where I like forced you to listen to Black Flag.
I don't have a problem with punk.
And plus, he's just so cool. He's just so smart and just so well read. And he's not smart in a way that he makes other people feel stupid. He's very...
No.
Yeah, he's just very insightful and just has such a great point of view and a way of seeing things in a way that I feel most people wouldn't see them.
Yeah, the stories he was telling last night and what he was sharing was just... And in his Henry mind, it was so great. It was... if you have the opportunity to go see him, if he's coming to your area, please do so.
Yeah,
it is
he's really
not...
great.
He was on there for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that blew my mind. Like, I thought it was
Went fast.
Yeah, I thought it was like, like an hour and a half, like a comedy sort of set thing. But yeah, he was literally on there for 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
Talking and going at it, and it really didn't feel like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we got out of there after 10:30, and I just looked at the phone. I was like, whoa, 2.5 hours. I was so engrossed in everything he said, and he's, like Sam said, he's just a brilliant mind and so funny and witty, and he kind of sees things in a different light, and I love that kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just so fantastic. And I don't know if many of you caught his show that he did years ago. I believe it was on the History Channel. He hosted a show called 10 Things You Don't Know About, and there's been somebody else that has done it either before or since then. But it was like little snippets in history and things that you wouldn't think about, like the story of Paul Revere, but do you know? Yeah. And so he would dive into this stuff, and he's such a great history buff himself. He doesn't deep dive, but he knows a lot of different information, and so he was great to see on there. Mm-hmm. We watched it every episode, maybe twice. It was good.
Okay, now to the other albums you picked. Well, you had to pick something by Queen, but you had a hard time deciding between these two, The Game and, I don't really know how to show this, Sheer Heart Attack.
Do you want me to hold one?
No, got it. So, out of these two, which one do you think you prefer the most, if you could pick one?
Well, in the 80s, we were so engrossed in Queen, and The Game was like, it had everything.
They were your first concert, right, when you were like 14?
I was trying to think about that the other day because that was around the time where I did both Aldo Nova at the Paramount Theater in Seattle, and I was in junior high school. I think I was 13. But either before that or right after that was Queen and Billy Squier. And yeah, Queen was huge. Everything, always had the anthem. And then during certain things, games and stuff like that, it'd be another one, Bites the Dust, and of course at the roller skating rink you always had that where they'd play that and you'd go out and try and crash into as many people as you could and make them wreck. That was fun. So I think that this one just was steadfast in everybody's repertoire. Everybody's house had it, it seemed like. And we were just rocking it all the time.
I think this was the first album where they started using like synthesizers and started getting a little bit more creative and like sort of outside the box. You know, the beginning of the 80s, I think this came out. Yeah, 1980.
Yeah. So look at Freddie. I love you, Freddie. I really, really love you. So great.
And then when you compare it to this, which is like such a like hard rock, almost kind of metal in some tracks and spots,
but still so fantastic.
This is probably
the best.
my favorite Queen album just because of that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard because every Queen album you're listening to, you're like, no, this one's my favorite. No, this one's my favorite. Like.
And I love the fact that they're still out there doing it, and they're doing it with Adam Lambert.
Yeah.
And for whether you love it or hate it or it's okay. I think that he really does a great job with it, and he just is so in tune with the band, and they're all such friendly people and loving people that just getting that second time around, not everybody gets that opportunity when you lose your lead guy. You know, there's so many bands out there where it's just like, yeah, we might go out on tour and do a little reminiscent here and there, but it doesn't have the energy. And somehow with Adam and fronting that band, he has that energy, and he just lets loose, and he has the best time.
And he has the pipes to do those songs.
Shit, if you've ever seen him in Wicked, the musical, my God, that was the beginning for him, and he really did a great job. I admire Adam Lambert.
And plus, there's such a new audience getting into Queen now because of the Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
Oh, yeah.
And discovering them. And so it's still kind of cool that they still get to kind of experience at least half of the original lineup and get to sort of experience the Queen sound in an arena, which I feel like had to be something else.
And I really want to see it with Adam Lambert, too, because it's so nice to get in there and sing those songs that are so familiar and just let your hair down and scream it out and have somebody that is just having the best time with you as the front man for a band that's already so huge on their own, and just the guts it takes to step into those shoes. And he doesn't try and be Freddie. He has his own thing, which is also very respectable for the young man, which isn't young anymore.
Yeah, he's like soon to be 40, right?
I think so. Yeah. And goddamn, he looks great.
All right, next up, Alice Cooper's Greatest Hits.
Oh, Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
So I wanted this because I'm kind of coming out of 2 years of COVID and everybody kind of being at home, and you know, I just have been doing deep dives on YouTube and watching videos and listening to music. And I just am so happy that Alice Cooper is another person that is out there still
He was just here, and I didn't
was.
find out until like a week before the show that he was here. I was like, fuck.
And he was up in BC a while back, and I just remember you and I going and sharing Alice Cooper concert in like 2017.
Motley Crue. We went to go see Motley Crue. The Crue. He opened for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the killer.
God, that was fun.
I liked that more than the actual Motley Crue show.
True. I did too.
Yeah.
Motley Crue was good, but you know what, they're not what they were. So
yeah.
You go, you see it, you appreciate it for what it is now. And
but Alice Cooper, I mean, he obviously, his voice has slightly changed, but he really puts on the same like
so
theatrical
great.
thing, and
his daughter's with him.
Yeah, I think his daughter dances in the
and
show.
You know, what a great thing to still be able to do. And I just kind of was going back and looking at Alice Cooper stuff and just thinking, God, he's just so fun. I just remember the days of Frank Zappa and Alice Cooper, and there used to be this program called Dr. Demento, and some of you may know of it, and it was always played late at night. And Alice Cooper also had a program that he did late at night, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it. Alice Cooper After Dark, or Alice Cooper at Midnight.
Isn't that his radio show?
Yes. And we used to listen to that closing down the store at night, and it was so much fun. And he's just such a great dude. And his wife is so beautiful and lovely.
And it's so crazy to think, like, when he started doing his show, how crazy and controversial, you know, hanging himself, beheading himself on stage.
No, but see that, and God forbid you go to a show and you're in an altered state of mind. That must have just been crazy. I would have just loved to be there during that time, just live and raw and so new.
And just, now so many other rock and metal acts copycat that, and like how big of an influence he was on the whole shock rock thing, and making a performance and a theatrical performance out of just like a concert.
Yeah.
And working it into the music. Like, it's such a cool, great idea.
Yeah. Just so fun.
Next up, we got Who's Greatest Hits.
The Who, wow, you can say all kinds of things about The Who, and the fact, again, that they're still out there and killing it. It just never gets old for me. There's always, listen to The Who and always enjoy it, and they are history. You know, those bands from that time and the British rock that came to America, and just The Who. It's just so much fun still. And they're coming around again. They're on tour coming to Seattle.
Yeah, I know Pete Townshend's doing like a solo thing right now, but yeah, I think they're planning on doing like a whole big tour again.
It's so hard because these bands have not been touring for a while, and now everybody's coming, and there's not enough time, and there's not enough money because you can't get a ticket for anything anymore for less than $300.
And so many other people want to go to shows too, so you're lucky if by the time you even find out a show's happening, it's not sold out already. So
yeah.
But you specifically picked this because of the song Love, Rain, or Me.
Yeah. And I love Pearl Jam's version too, but I just love that song. And I love cranking it up on a really crappy rainy day.
And like the build up to it.
Oh, the music is so fantastic.
Where it starts out very slow and then sort of gradually kind of picks up.
Pitter patter of rain.
And then it goes to like, not Pete Townsend, Roger Daltrey's scream of love. Like,
Daltrey is just such a rock star.
Yeah, he has a great voice. I always kind of forget how great The Who are, and then like I'll be like, oh, I haven't listened to The Who in a while. I'll like throw on one of the records I have, and I'm like, fuck, they're so good. Like the guitar playing, the bass playing, the singer, the drums, like one of the greatest drummers ever. Like, yeah,
so good. I love it.
Next up, we got a CD. This is both of our favorite Beatle. George Harrison's Let It Roll. This is sort of like a greatest hits comp that has a little bit of everything from his solo work on it.
Doing mixed media today.
Yeah. I don't really talk about like my CDs or cassettes that often, so.
Hey, there's a lot of people out, I'm sure there's tons of you out there that still have a huge box of tapes, CDs, vinyl. It's still, it's everywhere.
So, what's your favorite George Harrison song?
The older stuff, like the stuff that he did with the Beatles.
So you don't like any of his solo stuff?
No, I do. But
like, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, My Sweet Lord.
Oh yeah, My Sweet Lord. I do love that song.
Rising Sun.
Yeah.
Something. I always forget that you wrote that song. Something
in the way
she moves.
We won't start singing that.
Probably get copyright for that.
Right. I think you're good
because we sound so good.
No. Can't you play 15 seconds or less and you don't have to pay or something?
I think it's
not that I'm trying to not pay.
I think it's like 10 seconds, but
10 seconds?
They get touchy.
Do
really,
they?
Really
Does it depend on who it is?
No. Well, it kind of just depends on like your viewership. Like if a big YouTuber, like someone that has over 1 million followers, wants to play something, the algorithm technically catches it a little bit more often.
Oh.
But it just depends on like the person that's playing it, and then like the artist. Like if it's more obscure band, it's like a whole thing. So I just try not to anger the YouTube algorithm gods. So.
Oh, okay. I don't know enough about the algorithm. I just find stuff to watch and watch it. I don't.
Okay, so next up, another classic, Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd.
Guess who's coming in the round? If you can get those tickets, man, I'm really super jealous because I know it's going to be fantastic, and I don't know. When is it? Do you know?
I don't.
Oh, man. I really want to go. I really want to go, but I know it's going to be expensive, but it is just anytime you can. Oh.
See Roger Waters or anyone from Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I do like Roger Waters.
I love David Gilmour, though.
Yes, David Gilmour.
Players. Yeah. I think those are the only two members that are still alive. Isn't Nick Mason dead, and the other guy? I always forget his name. It's probably not in here. But yeah, so what about this album? Do you specifically like this album, or is there another Pink Floyd album that you really like? This is the only Pink Floyd album that I currently have in my collection.
It's a classic, first of all. All the songs are killer. And it's just so ingrained in my mind. My sister had the poster on the wall of her room, and at the Seattle Center in Seattle, you could go to late night weekends laser shows, and Dark Side of the Moon was always playing. And so, we would go and have some drinks and go and lay on the floor and just zone out for a while and listen to the whole album start to finish with the laser show.
And you were sober during this time?
Perhaps not.
And this was sorry, confession time, but you like, school would get out, and I only lived 2 blocks away from the high school I went to, so I would bring over a whole bunch of my friends, and we would smoke weed, and I would throw this record on, and we would just sit on the floor and stare at like the popcorn ceiling and just listen to this album.
Same. Did that too.
Yeah, and just like the opening track where it's just that like heartbeat, that always freaked me the fuck out, because I always convinced myself like that was my heartbeat.
Oh, because you smoked weed.
Yeah, just like
So you have
shit.
Go through your crazy for a second paranoia.
Yeah, and then next up, one of my all-time favorite records. This was in my five favorite albums video, but this is
I saw it and I had to pull it out because I just love it too.
My copy of Parallel Lines by Blondie. I really need to get an upgrade copy of this, but it's my tried and true.
Got it.
I would never get rid of it, even if I did get a better copy.
Yeah, in the 80s, sorry if I default to the 80s, but that was where all this stuff started hitting for us. And it was just so great to see a front woman of a band like her, and being a young teenage girl and seeing that you could go out there and be a badass and do your thing and be the queen and rock it up and punk it out and
still look great.
God damn, those legs in the short skirts, and she was thin, and she just kind of, and it was kind of grungy too. She was a little grungy, and that was cool, and it was just badass. And so a lot of the girls, besides her and Pat Benatar and other influences around that time, all us rocker chicks, that's all we aspired to be, was those ladies, and we would wear the outfits and get out there.
Oh yeah, there was definitely a period in time where I went through a complete, like, I remember I had the blonde hair and the dark under part like she used to have.
Oh yeah.
And I would purposely pick out outfits that looked like outfits she'd wore. I would do my makeup exactly like her. I feel like every sort of teenage girl kind of goes through that phase when they get into Blondie and they discover Blondie and how great Debbie Harry was, because not only was she beautiful, but she had this sort of I could kick your ass too sort of thing.
Yeah, she was a tough broad, and you had to be. Think of, especially in New York.
Oh yeah, during that
time. Think
of
all of the predatory behavior going on back in those days, and just the disco era too, and it just being so drugs fueled, and just everybody was out there, and it was a scary and fantastic time.
Well, that's where they got the name Blondie from, is because, Debbie Harry would get catcalled. All the guys would be like, hey, Blondie.
Yeah.
So that's where they got the name, which is kind of cool, too, that she's sort of taking ownership of this thing that was used to harass her.
What are you going to do? Use it.
Yeah. Next up, another great woman, Stevie Nicks, Belladonna. Probably one of the greatest, debut solo albums from...
We wore it out. The girls in the neighborhood, we wore it out. We would mostly go to my BFF, Stephanie's house. She had this, and we would play it and put makeup on, and just for a while there she changed her identity and became Stevie for a little while, and so that was her nickname. But that was just a really, really great album, and just wore it out.
Mm-hmm. Stop Dragging My Heart Around, After the Glitter Fades, Edge of 17.
And I love that she was working with Tom Petty too, and I know they had their falling out, and the whole thinking that she was trying to steal his music. But she wanted to actually be in the band. She loved Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers so much that she wanted to be in the band, and I don't blame her. I don't blame her.
Yeah, I mean, she just has such a unique voice, and just, again, sort of the image and the music going together so well. Sort of like this cool, witchy, sort of mysterious woman, and the music that goes with it.
And even her days in Fleetwood Mac, and just her persona and those beautiful flowy dresses and the scars, and she just was...
She was like the queen of the whole bohemian 70s thing. Like, everyone wanted to be her.
And beautiful. Yeah. Just beautiful.
Our second to last thing, this is Doggy Style by Snoop Dogg.
I had to give a shout out to the Snoop. Come on, talk about longevity and still going strong. He, from start till now, has always been out there with everybody, doing everything and being cool and going with the flow, and he is just so much fun. And I love watching him and Martha. I loved what he did on Joe Rogan Experience, where they did that interview and shot that show, and they were just having the best time. And even his commercials, I just love it. Give me anything Snoop, I'm in. And the music is great too.
This album is one of definitely like a top 5 best hip hop albums ever. I mean, you have Dr. Dre producing it. I think this was the first album he produced besides his own after he left NWA, and just started pioneering the whole G-Funk movement.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, this is just such a fantastic hip-hop album. Definitely like a desert island hip-hop rap album for me.
Yeah, so. For sure. If you could only have one thing on a desert island.
And last but not least is this little Shake Your Moneymaker, Black Crows, that has really seen it.
The tape, I probably had the same tape in my Monte Carlo.
I think I got this at the thrift store, but yeah, I love this album. I really need to get it on vinyl. They just did a nice reissue of it too for like the 30th anniversary a couple years ago.
But what fun music when that came out. Whew, whole nother level.
Yeah, it was like very reminiscent of like Led Zeppelin, with like a little Doors. It had this like country blues rock thing.
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun. Also saw them in concert. And the concert that we went to was kind of a stripped down version. They didn't do a lot of the popular music. They did a lot of songs you don't normally hear. It was just a bunch of candles, and it was more acoustic than anything else. And they had these cool rugs out, and it just had this whole vibe. And you could tell a lot of the audience was expecting this to have been played from start to finish.
Yeah, She Talks to Angels, Jealous Again, yeah.
None of it. Didn't do any of it. But it was still a wonderful performance, and I'm so glad I went to see it. I was part of the ones that were disappointed, but then I was really intrigued and interested in what they were doing.
Yeah.
And it was still so raw, and the acoustic part was just so great. I really, really, really enjoy them still to this day. And I pulled it because it was another one I started deep diving in on YouTube. I just went through and kept watching them, and I love watching him dance and boogie around and just being free on stage.
And I remember when I first decided to get sober, listening to the song Seeing Things, because even though the narrative is like seeing things for the first time after you break up with someone, for me it was like seeing things clearly for the first time, sober, not clouded with, various substances. So that song and this album kind of has like a sentimental thing for me because of that. So,
yeah.
But I really want to listen to Chris Robinson's solo stuff.
I heard it's really good.
Yeah.
Can't remember where I saw them talking about that. And somebody had went and saw one of, was it a rehearsal where he's getting ready to go on the road, or is he already on the road?
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, coming out of COVID, who knows? But everybody's on the road right now, so across America, you can just go see anybody now. Is Kiss redoing theirs too?
I don't know. They were doing a farewell tour like last year, I think, but I don't know if it's done or if it's going to be like a 3-year farewell tour.
They had to call it off too. There were so many people that had to call it off, and I'm just so grateful. And like Henry said last night, he was like, it's just so good to see you all.
Yeah.
And he really has a kinship with Portland.
Yeah, he did a lot of shows here.
Yeah, coming up, and so it was really nice to see him and see him so happy and being out. And I hope everybody else is getting a chance to get out there and get with your music again and see some
support
live
artists,
shows.
Support venues that really need the money.
Whether it's a comedy show or a comedian or a musician or, I'm going to go and see chamber music over at Darcy's again.
Oh, nice.
The end of June. So we'll be at the Chamber Music Festival, and just take a deep breath. Shake it out. Shake it out. Deep breath. Let go and just enjoy it again, because
who knows how long we'll get to enjoy it before something else happens. There's another COVID.
Right. And hey, we're not getting any younger.
Yeah. That's what Henry was like. He's like, I'm 61.
God, he looks great though.
Yeah, he does. He works out. He's buff.
Ripped. You know Henry. If any of you Black Flag lovers out there, it's kind of like Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
And Iggy looks fantastic. And he's touring too.
I know, he's touring in Europe right now, and I'm
like, God, he's got
I
to do
need
America.
to see him before he dies or something happens to me.
And that might need to be a flight somewhere. I'll go wherever.
I'll
burn that credit card to the ground.
Hey, if I don't pay rent, that's just what's going to have to happen.
Right.
I need to see Iggy Pop before either him or I die. He's probably going to be like Lemmy, where you just think...
Yeah. Lem. But yeah.
Anyways, before this goes on
sorry, because we will talk forever about music and everything.
That's what we do anyways.
Yeah.
But anyways,
tonight we're going to go see Nick Cage.
Yeah, the new Nick Cage movie.
That'll be fun.
But yeah, thank you again for joining me.
Good to see you all. Thanks for supporting her.
Yeah, thank you.
She's a lot of fun.
That's a biased opinion.
I love you a lot. You're my favorite.
But my mom is the reason I am who I am, so yeah. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye. Love you. Be good.